Hello, my name is John Suckling. I have been asked to give my history of the formation of Kalamunda Rugby. The first experience I had of rugby, of course, was in my youth, and that was in Fiji, playing around schoolboy type efforts in the mud around Suva. Came to Western Australia and moved to Perth and joined Western Suburbs as a player and played with them until 1969. In the meantime, I became a physical education teacher, and I was privileged to teach at Kalamunda for a number of years. During that time, we formed junior teams, and I coached in 1963 under 16s and under 14s, and I can recall quite a number of players who I had in those days, and the club members would know Andrew Todd, who was one of the first players I had. You'd also know that there was a member of the club, and still is, I believe, Jim Allen, who I actually taught in 1960 in my first year of teaching, and coached him at under 14 rugby in 1960. Going back or forward now to 1969, I had found that I'd given up playing. I found a number of our players, when they were finished their under 16s at the school and then went on to play under 18s for Western Suburbs, was a little bit awkward because it was a fair distance from Kalamunda to Rosalie Park, and a number of us decided that it was about time we formed a club based in Kalamunda. One of the early proponents of this, who I was able to talk to, was a fellow called John Dickens. Now, John Dickens was involved very, very heavily with Western Suburbs, but he also lived in Gooseberry Hill. And he, along with various parents, I'll mention Wally Twycross, who has since passed on, Neville Dury, who's also left us, Frank DeSwaldo, another one who's no longer with us. They can't verify what I'm saying then. And Brian Bremner. Now, we had a meeting in 1969 and decided that we should look at the formation of Kalamunda Rugby Club. And we involved one other player called Keith Snell, who's collectively known as Jelly Belly, and he was keen to get a group of players together to form a C-grade side that played in the WA competition. In 1970, we had an official meeting, and we formed a club with John Dickens as the initial president, and my wife Renata was the secretary, and I just was the general dog spotting, I guess. This existed for a few years. We ended up with a team that played in under 18s and C grade, as well as junior sides. In 1973, we purchased a Nissan hut and had it erected at Hartfield Park. And in 1974, we began discussions with various members of the Southern Suburbs Club. And I mentioned there people that I recall being involved very much in the early discussions were Terry Wilkinson, who has since left us, Ron Percy, Dave Arnao, who readily come to mind. They, along with a number of our own players or juniors who at that stage had started playing under 18s and so forth, were involved in creating the new clubhouse based at Hartfield Park. In 1978, the clubhouse was opened, and it was built with help from all the members. Notably, John Massey was one of the major builders involved, but there are a number of other club members who did tremendous work. Kenny Skilton, Dave Barnea was involved. There's a whole heap, and no doubt others will mention the people concerned. From then, the club went on to, under the presidency of Laurie Delahunty, the late Laurie, for a number of years, and then I took over from him in '78, and I continued there until 1980, and then I became the treasurer until '83 when I decided to join the Kalamunda Districts Council as a councillor. And I was given the heavy word from my wife that something had to give, and unfortunately rugby did. But in the meantime, I had the honour of being presented life membership, and I still follow the club, although our move to Pemberton has left little opportunity to see too many games on the weekend.